Hey everyone, and welcome to the first lesson of my Easy Guitar series. Now this series is designed to start you from ground zero, absolute basics. If you have no idea about playing guitar at all, this is where you need to be. If you have some guitar playing knowledge, that's great too. That's going to help you out along the way. But if you've just picked up a guitar for the first time and you're trying to figure out how to get from I know nothing to actually playing some songs on your own, then this is the series for you. First things first, you're going to need a guitar. So if you don't have a guitar yet, you can check this video out. I made just a video talking about how I would go about choosing a guitar, pairing a good guitar for you to inspire you the most to be able to pick it up and continue to learn and continue to play. So check that out if you don't have a guitar yet. But we are starting from the assumption that you have a guitar already and you are ready to start learning about playing it. So we're actually going to cover the parts of the guitar, and this is going to help you to understand where things are located and what their purpose is. So in future lessons, as we continue to learn, and I'm pointing out certain parts of the guitar, you're already going to know where to find these things, you're going to know how to identify them quickly, and it's going to help you out through those lessons to just follow along. So we'll start at this top portion. This entire section is called the headstock, or the head of the guitar. Now the headstock contains a few different elements. You have the wood portion, which is the head. You have these 6 individual posts, and each of them actually has a little key on them as well. These are called tuning keys or machine heads, and their purpose is to hold one end of each of your strings and allow you to change the pitch of the string to tune the guitar. So for instance, if I play this string here, you can see as I turn that key, it changes the actual pitch of that string. Now the way that this works on a guitar is a standard guitar has 6 guitar strings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the way that these are laid out is in this order. Your thickest string, your second thickest string, your third thickest string, then it jumps across to the other side. That's your third thinnest string, your second thinnest string, and your thinnest string. So if we go again from the top string to the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they would follow in this order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Moving on to the next portion of the headstock is this little cover plate right here. Now your guitar may not have one of these, and the reason is because this access is located somewhere else. But what this is called is a truss rod cover. And the reason is because it covers your truss rod. A truss rod runs through the neck to allow you to adjust the angle of your neck itself to make it as straight as possible for your guitar. You will most likely not have to make an adjustment to this on your own. This would be something that's done if you go and get your guitar set up to make sure that it's playing the best way possible. They may look at this and make an adjustment just to make sure that your neck isn't too far forward or too far back with that truss rod. If you don't have that cover here at the top, then your truss rod cover or your truss rod adjustment is most likely in the sound hole of the guitar on the inside. So that's just so you're aware of that. But you probably won't need to be too concerned about that at this point in time. Moving to the next portion, you have this piece right here. It sits at the very end of your headstock before we move into the next portion of the guitar. It is called the nut. Now the nut is generally made of plastic or bone. You can also find them out of metal occasionally, but its purpose is to sit at the end of this neck portion of the guitar and at the end of the headstock, so it sort of divides the two. And it has little grooves in it that actually allows you to set the spacing between your strings so that you don't have strings that are too close or too far apart. Moving on to the next portion of the guitar is this section, and you may have heard me say this already. This is called the neck of the guitar. Now the neck consists of a few different things. You have the back portion, which is usually just referred to as the neck. Then you have the top portion of the neck, this flat section. You have a curved back and a flat top. The flat top all the way down with all these little metal strips is referred to as the fretboard. And the reason they call it the fretboard is because these little metal strips across are referred to as frets. And frets divide up the fretboard to allow you, by holding each string, to change the pitch of that string. So, for example, if we are holding closer to the headstock on this side of each fret, you have a change in pitch. So you can see that is changing the note or the pitch of that string as you play across the fretboard. So this allows you to get those different pitches just by holding your finger behind each fret. Now the way that we refer to frets on guitar is actually by the spaces on the guitar itself. So you can see between the nut and this first fret there is this space. If I were to hold that down for every one of my 6 strings, we would refer to that as the first fret of each of those strings. If you move to the next one, that would be the second fret of each of those strings, third fret, and so on, all the way up the fretboard. You also have, in some cases, you may have these little decorative elements across the fretboard. These are called inlays, and what they do is allow you to identify what fret you are looking at quickly. So you can see here, this is the first fret, that's the third fret, that's the fifth fret. You have something similar in some cases on guitars with these little dots on the top of the fretboard. These are called fret markers, and they allow you from the top of the guitar to again identify those frets quickly. If we move to the next portion of the guitar, which is this entire section here, this is called the body of the guitar. The body of the guitar has the back, the sides, and the top. Now the top has a few different elements on it. You have a pick guard, which keeps you from scuffing up your guitar as you're playing with a pick. You have the sound hole, which is this opening in the guitar. This allows your guitar to resonate and push that sound out. And then you have this portion here. Now, this section at the bottom that's actually touching against the top of the guitar is referred to as the bridge. And the bridge holds a few different elements. This here, this strip, generally again made of plastic or bone, is called the saddle. And the saddle is the opposite end to the nut. So this is the starting place and the ending place of each string being held up over top of the fretboard by the nut and the saddle. The saddle as well will generally have small grooves in it to allow that maintained spacing between the strings. Then you have these little pegs on an acoustic guitar. These here are called bridge pins. What they do is they actually hold the end of the string in place to make sure that it doesn't fall out while you're playing or as you're putting a string on. So each string has its own bridge pin to hold it in place, and they go, of course, through the bridge. You may also have end pins, which actually allow you to attach a strap to your guitar, and in some cases you will have a pickup system built into the guitar that you can plug into and allow you to plug into an amplifier. Now that covers basically the basics of an acoustic guitar. You will have some other elements on an electric guitar as well, so we're going to jump over and take a look at that and just lay out those differences at this point in time. Okay, so here we are now with an electric guitar. Most of the elements are going to be the same. You still have the head, the neck, the body. The head still has machine heads or tuning keys. It still has frets with markers or inlay. And then you get to the actual body portion of the guitar. And there's a few differences here compared to an acoustic guitar. One is you'll have some pickups. This could be one pickup, it could be 2 pickups, sometimes even 3 pickups or 4, depending on the layout of the guitar. But standard is usually 2 to have on a guitar. You'll have this portion here is actually now your saddle, whereas before it was attached right onto the bridge. You now have 2 separate portions for your bridge element on an electric guitar. In some cases this may be a longer plate, and you'll have a portion that the strings lay across the top of. That's always going to be your saddle, and then you'll have an element of where the strings are being held in place as well. This guitar has one toggle switch, which allows you to toggle between your pickups. So depending on your layout, sometimes it's labeled, but generally a down position or a back position towards the actual end of the guitar is going to be what they refer to as your bridge pickup, which is the one that's closer to the bridge. And an up position or closer to the neck of the guitar is going to be your neck pickup. In cases where there's a middle pickup, you may have a switch that does 5 positions instead of 3. This does 3, which means you have just the bridge pickup, up is just the neck pickup, and in the middle is both pickups at the same time. If you have 5 switches or a 5 position switch, that means you probably have 3 pickups, which will allow you to do just the bridge, just the neck all the way the other direction, just the middle if it's in the middle position, or a blend of the middle and the neck if it's in between those two, and a blend of the neck and the middle if it's between those two. Then you have a few knobs that are on an electric guitar. Generally, they're going to give you volume and tone, which will allow you to make the sound a little darker or a little brighter, depending on how you use those knobs. Then you have an actual insert for a 1/4 inch instrument cable, and that allows you to plug into an amp. So that's sort of the difference between the electric guitar and the acoustic guitar for just the actual parts of the instrument itself. We're going to jump back over to the acoustic and learn string names at this point. Okay, so as I mentioned before, we have 6 strings on a standard guitar. And each of those strings has a name that refers to its note or its pitch in standard tuning. Now, you have tuners that you can get, which will allow you to tune your guitar easily, and you can just clip them onto the guitar, or in some cases it's got a microphone that's listening to see what the actual note is. And all you want to do is play your string. I'm using a guitar pick right now, which looks like that. But you can also use your fingers. It just depends on what you're normally going to use. That's how I would tune. So if you're normally going to play with your fingers, tune with your fingers, because that's going to be closer to the pitch that you're going to get while you're playing. And if you're going to play with a pick more often, then tune with a pick, because that's going to keep your guitar in tune with playing with a pick. So your first string is an E note. So you want to make sure that your guitar is tuned to an E. My tuner actually turns green when it's in the middle, but usually what you'll have is a bit of a bar here. Let's see if I can show you that. So you can see there's this whole range across the top, which will tell you if it is in tune or out of tune. If I drop the tuning on this right now, you can see it falling below the center. And if I tune it up past the center, you can see that it's now above. But what we're aiming for is right in the center. And again, in my case, the tuner will turn green when it's in tune. So you have E is your thickest string. The next string is A. The string after that is D. And again, if we're following the machine heads, we have E is this one, A, and D. Then we move to our next string, which is G, then our B, and then our E. So when we are in tune, it should sound like this. Okay, and again, that's just me playing from the thickest string to the thinnest. 1 is E, 2 is A, 3 is D, 4 is G, 5 is B, and 6 is E again. So we have E and E on the top and bottom string of our guitar. Now you can, if you need to, remember this in a fun way. I know that the way I had learned it was elephants for E, and for A, Dinosaurs for D. Grow is the G string. Beards is B. And easily is the E. So you have elephants and dinosaurs grow beards easily, which helped me to remember those strings at the beginning. But the faster you can learn that and remember it, the easier it's going to be to continue to build upon that knowledge. So that's today's lesson. That has walked you through all the parts of the guitar, both acoustic and electric. Hopefully that has given you some insight into what we'll be looking at moving forward. You have the string names. Take some time, make sure that you learn those so that we can continue on in our next lesson and start to learn some basics of playing the guitar. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And as always, love you guys.